Is Florida now Georgia's little brother? That's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. And I think that's going to trigger a lot of Florida fans out there. But we need to be real with ourselves. And the reality is that these two programs are so far apart right now. Georgia's coming off, 2 straight national championships, 2 in the last 3 years. And the Florida Gators just racked up their 3rd consecutive losing season in a row. Of course, this is the offseason now. We've got 200 plus days until the 2024 season starts, but the content is going to keep coming through. And sometimes we're just going to talk about how bad some of Georgia's rivals are right now. There's no reason why Florida should be this bad, and I don't think it's going to get a whole lot better next year. I do think Florida will be a step better than they were, but mainly it's because they were so bad. They were 5-7 this past year. And if you're a Georgia fan, you just have to love that. Georgia's won 6 out of 7 against Florida, probably going to win again next year. And things are looking grim for Mullen Napier and the Gators right now. And, after what Florida did to them in the 90s, early 2000s, if you're a Georgia fan, you've got to soak this up and realize that, they are so far ahead of Florida right now. So far ahead, probably the farthest ahead of Florida these programs have ever been. And I know that Florida was not some great program until Steve Spurrier came along. Then they had their time with Urban Meyer. But since Urban's left, Florida hasn't been that great. They had a couple years with Dan Mullen, and I think maybe 1 or 2 good years with Will Muschamp. But they've had some really bad hires, and it has set their program back a good bit. Will Muschamp did not work. That was, it felt like a good hire at the time. Turned out it wasn't. Jim McElwain, are you kidding me? There's no reason why Florida should have hired Jim McElwain, of all people. Dan Mullen, again, he had a couple years, 18 and 19, but he lost control of the program. And now they hired Mullen Napier. I say now, he's been there 2 years, 2 straight losing seasons. It started with Dan Mullen 2021. They went 6-7. 2022, they went 6-7. And last year, 5-7. I think I have that correct. But no bowl game for the Gators. Are you kidding me? Georgia is still a top 2-3 program right now in college football. They're still kind of running the show a little bit. And Florida's so bad. So sometimes, I think, especially right now, you could just laugh at Florida. Sit back and laugh at them because there's no reason why they should be this bad. Then you look at 2024. It's tough, but it's not that tough. I think Georgia's schedule is tougher than Florida's. They've got Miami at home, Samford at home, A&M at home before they go to Mississippi State. They're probably 2-2, right, at best to start the year next year. But they've got the first 3 games at home. So they have it kind of set up nicely. Going to Starkville, they can win that game. Again, I do think they've got Grant Mertz coming back. They've got some talent on defense. I think they'll be a decent team defensively next year. And a returning quarterback, that's always key. You need experience at quarterback if you want to have a good season. Then they have a bye. Then they have Central Florida at home again. Then they go to Tennessee. I'm just going to assume that's a loss. I think Tennessee will take a significant step forward next year. They get Kentucky at home. That could be a loss. Then they have a bye. And there's where it gets tough. Down the stretch, they've got Georgia and Jacksonville. That's going to be a loss. They go to Texas and Austin. Probably going to be a loss. They get LSU at home. That's probably going to be a loss. They've got Ole Miss at home. That's probably going to be a loss. Then they go to Florida State. And, I expect Florida State to be bad. We saw what their backups did in the Orange Bowl. That's a bad team. All their best players from this year are gone. So I have no idea how good Florida State's going to be next year. I don't think they're going to be all that great. But Georgia would be fine with that schedule. But Florida, it's going to be tough. If they have a 4th consecutive losing season, Georgia fans can hold that over their Florida buddies, if they have any, for a long, long time. And I was speaking to a Florida buddy of mine the other day, and I was thinking, where are things, right? How many transfers have gone? Here's what he said. 22 outgoing transfers. 22 players have left the program. Most of them are like Georgia, right? They didn't play. They're kind of scrubs, yada, yada, yada. They're not missing a whole lot. But he did say that Trevor Etienne leaving was that was the worst part that happened to him. That was the most significant player who hit the portal. And of course, He's going to Georgia. Jaden Hill and Scooby Williams, two guys that left. Those were not good players. There's not a single Florida fan that is wishing they did not enter the portal. I mean, those guys, they're bad tacklers. I don't think they're going to do much at A&M at all. Richie Leonard, an offensive guard who entered the portal. I think that's a key loss. And then Chris McClellan, a defensive tackle who transferred to Missouri, right? Great year, Missouri. They've passed Florida, right? Tennessee has passed Florida. I think Kentucky's right there kind of on their way to passing Florida. They could beat them in Gainesville. South Carolina is a program that's still trying to get back to their ways, but you know, it's crazy. There will be no East and West this next year and beyond, which is wild, but that makes things even tougher for Florida. I don't see Florida beating Georgia anytime soon. I don't see them winning the SEC anytime soon. Billy Napier is not the guy, so I think Florida is going to struggle next year, and they're going to keep struggling. They recruit fine. It's not great. They don't recruit well enough to beat Georgia anytime soon. Kirby's 6-2 against the Gators. I don't think he's going to lose to them anytime soon. That's a game that matters to him a lot. Georgia seems to play well against Florida, the opposite of what they do against Alabama. They got to figure that out, but he's had no problem punching Florida in the face over and over and over again. And these games really haven't been close. 21, 22, 23. A lot of these games are over at the half. 17 was, 18 and 19 were, those are close games, but where these two programs are right now, I don't know if there's been a bigger difference gap than where we are right now, where Georgia is, where Florida is. And Florida should never be this bad. They have too many resources. If they had Lane Kiffin as the head coach, they would be very good. And I remember talking to my Florida buddies. I said, they need to go get Lane Kiffin. He would take this program back to where Urban Meyer had it and Steve Spurrier had it. Maybe not to that level, but I mean, nobody was scared when they hired Dan Mullen or Jim McElwain or Billy Napier. I remember thinking that's who they went and got. You're the Florida Gators, and you went out and got those three guys? Of course it didn't work. No, I mean, it's not an easy job, but there's resources. There's a lot of talent in the area. Florida should never be this bad. Georgia should never be this bad. I don't think Georgia in my lifetime will ever have 3 or 4 consecutive losing seasons, and that's what Florida's about to do. So, again, I'm not trying to tell y'all something y'all don't already know. This is just a laugh at Florida video because they put themselves in that position. And college football, I'm an unbiased journalist. I just call it like I see it. I don't have anything against Florida. This video is for Georgia fans to show their Florida buddies. And it's about bragging rights, right? You want to go to work. If you're a Georgia fan and you work with Florida fans or Tennessee fans, the best part, Auburn fans, the best part of college football season is when Georgia beats those teams, you get to rub it in your buddy's face, your coworker's face, your family member's face. That's what this is all about, bragging rights. That's what makes college football so great. And Florida's got none right now. Georgia is going to continue beating Florida for the foreseeable future because Florida is not bringing in the talent both on the recruiting trail and in the transfer portal that Georgia is. And they'll get it back. They're not going to be complete trash forever. They might not be very good anytime soon. I think they will take a small step forward because they have a returning quarterback. And I do like the linebackers. They went and got Grayson Howard from South Carolina through the transfer portal. Shamar James is another inside linebacker that I think has the potential to be a pretty good pro one day. I was all about him in high school. He's a very good player. So they've got some young talent, and they've got a returning quarterback, but this could be another losing season for the Florida Gators. And if you're a Georgia fan, just sit back and laugh. I mean, they're laughable right now, and they shouldn't be this bad. They shouldn't, but they are. And so if you're a Georgia fan, now's the time to just rag on them, laugh at them, mainly because Georgia is going to compete for another national title next year. And that game in Jacksonville might be ugly again. And I know Florida beat them in 2020, but 6 out of 7. It's going to be 7 out of 8 next year. And, we'll see how long it takes them to turn it around. I think they need another head coach to do it. I think they need a guy like Lane Kiffin. They need someone who can talk and coach, a guy who, exudes excitement and optimism, and a guy who can go get big-time players from the transfer portal, a guy who can elevate a quarterback and develop a quarterback into a really good player, and a guy who can lead them to some big-time wins. But overall, tough sledding for the Gators. Georgia's taken full control of that rivalry. I don't think Florida will ever lead the series. That just is what it is right now. Georgia's top dog. Well, actually, I guess Michigan is top dog right now. But in this rivalry, Georgia's way up here, and Florida might be on their way to a 4th consecutive losing season. That's unthinkable in Athens right now, but that's the current reality down in Gainesville, Florida. Thanks for watching this video. You didn't learn anything, but you get to laugh at Florida for 10 minutes, right? But off-season video, we're gonna have more. But yeah, show this video to your Florida buddy, rub it in, do whatever you want. That's what college football is all about. Thanks for watching this video. Hope to see you over on the website.